My name's Farzana Fazelbhoy, and I live in Mumbai, India. Um, I I've lived in Mumbai all my life. Born in Bandra itself, where I'm living now, and got married. Did my BSc specializing in child development. Got married pretty early in life, 21. Had I have two boys. Now they are 26 and 25 years old. Both of them are living in the US. And I lived in the US from 2000 to 2007. That's been a very major chunk of my life, something that has helped me grow and develop extremely. A very, very, very important aspect of my life, something that I feel I realized what I am when I was in the US. In India, I got married in a family that is really broad minded. My husband is a person who uh, gives a lot of respect to women. I've always received that from him and from his family. My two children, out of my two children, my younger son is a special child. He is severely mentally challenged and also has autism. But and hence I feel that my husband has been extremely supportive in this whole one area of our lives. He's never let me feel down about it or anything, any such thing. I've always we've been real great partners. I think he's my soulmate. I really feel privileged to be part of his life, and I think he feels the same about me. My right now I'm in a phase of my life where the kids are older. I feel somehow like the emptiness syndrome, something like that. I feel I'm back here, and I'm not really doing anything much with my life, but I'm kind of also chilling out because I've had a hectic life in the US, and I do hope to do something else with my life sooner or later, but haven't decided what yet. From what I understand, religion and faith are two different things. By religion, I'm Shia Khoja Ismaili. Um, that means we believe that His Highness the Aga Khan is our living leader. We follow him. That is my religion. And my faith is something that I have as a one on one with God. What is my actual relationship with God? That's the way I demarcate religion to faith. Where faith is concerned, I consider God as a person who is very approachable, someone that I can talk to for any and every little thing. I believe He hears me and guides me, and it's over a period of time that this has actually evolved inside me. Initially, when I started out, I come from a very religious household. My mother insisted we did all the religious, various stuff. We did formal prayers. I was forced to do formal prayers. We weren't given really a choice, and I grew up with that in that environment. As I moved into a family where my husband doesn't believe in God, my in laws never believed in formal prayer, I was then given an opportunity to decide what I want to do. And that's when I felt started getting evolved as to what is God to me? Do I need to do formal prayer? Because now I was faced with a situation where I wasn't forced to do it anymore. And a little bit about myself. Being my son, my handicapped son Hanif, I think when he was born in 1984, and I think that was the most traumatic part of time of my life. I was. I used to be the person who used to pray, do rosas, namaz, various formal stuff. And then suddenly I had a child like Hanif, and I felt that God had let me down, or religion had let me down, or you know what? I don't want to believe in God anymore. I am a good person. I have not hurt anybody. I do all the prayers. And why me? Why was I given a child like Hanif? Hanif, when he was born, had a severe physical deformities too. He wasn't, sitting up or rolling or whatever. So for 11 years, I had to go and do physiotherapy with him before he even walked. Uh, so I did everything, but somehow something broke inside me at that point, and I decided I don't want to pray. I don't want to believe in God. And then there was also this deep rooted, teaching which was inside me that, but what if I don't do all this? And what if he gets more angry on me? And what if he gives me more trouble? So there was a very weird thing inside me which I would pray because I was frightened, and then I would not pray because I was angry. And that tussle went on for, I think, quite a long time inside me. And there were various instances. Hanif actually started getting worse and worse because at that time we didn't know he had autism. So he developed massive behavioral problems, which resulted in me being in tears almost every single day of my life. In India, we don't have school systems that are so enlightened. So anything incorrect that he did in school, I would get a phone call where I would say, "Oh, Mrs. Fazelbhoy, Hanif is doing this. Can you please come and take him away?" And I started getting more upset because I felt, you guys are the trained ones. I'm just the mother. I can give love and affection. I can do what you all tell me to do. But I don't know how to handle a child like Hanif either. And if you guys don't know, what do you expect me to do? And there was a lot of trauma that I went through. I think finally, at some point, I broke. And I decided, I said, you know what? I had gone to the school a million times. It was April. That was the time when the school year changes. The principal called me up and said, Mrs. Fazelbhoy, I'm sorry, we can't keep Hanif in the school anymore. He's a distraction to all the other children. So from June, please don't bring him. And that, my world shattered at that point because I said, now what do? I don't have anywhere to go in Bombay. This was supposedly the best school in Bombay. What do I do? And I remember sitting at the window and crying for 3 continuous hours, kind of, in despair. I felt angry with God, and I felt that now I'm at the end of my tether. I don't know what else to do. And I think that's the correct exact moment when something happened inside me, and I started talking to God like as if he was a person. And I said, hey, you know what? You listen to me right now. I have done every damn thing for this child. You have given me, I've been mad at you. I haven't prayed. I haven't done this. But today I have done everything to the best of my ability for this child. And what do you think you are? What do you think? You mean to say you're going to keep on doing this and I'm supposed to keep on going on into this way and crying about it? I want to tell you one thing. And that one thing is, you have given me a child like this, I'm willing to bring him up. But I need you to be part of this. Otherwise, I wash my hands off him. You have sent me this child. I have done my best. And from now onwards, I do not want you to make me cry ever for this child. If ever you make me cry again, I shall give up on this child. So you take a decision what you want to do. Do you want me to do the right thing for this child? Then you just better jump in, because I can't do anything more. And I shouted at God, and I talked to him as if there was a person there who wasn't playing right by me. And I just kept on talking and talking and talking like that. And then suddenly the phone rings, and I pick up the phone, and it's Joy. You know him. He says, hey, Farzana, listen, you know what? I know I just met you last week, and you seem to be happy with Hanif's school. But is there by any chance you need admission into Sadhana school, which is another school in town? We're also very good, but there's a waiting list which is a mile long, and no one can get into that school. Is there any chance you need admission into that school? Because I just did a documentary free for them, and they are like eternally grateful to me. And I'm sure you'd be able to get in. You could have knocked me down with a feather. Because at that point, I said, oh my God, he actually listened. He actually did something right away. It was such a instant stuff that like among your questions, you have another. Which was that moment when you felt you could rely on him? I think that was that moment for me. And I said, oh my God, Joy, I've been crying for 3 hours. This is what's happened to me. This is what's happened. This is what happened. And yes, I want admission because Honey's been chucked out of the earlier school. He said, okay, fine. Here's the number. Call up so and so. Go for an interview. I went there. And from that day onwards, my life has taken a whole 360. After that, I could give you innumerable examples about how just before I despaired, I was picked up and shown away, either through somebody, through a guidance, through a phone call, through it's just that he said, okay, fine, I don't know what he said. I don't know what God went through. I don't know any of that. But all I know is he listened to me and he said, yeah, I think I've pulled her or stretched her. And if I don't do anything now, she's going to break. So I better I better help her out. And in the US, I got a job where I had a boss who would give me total freedom to go and come when I wanted. Otherwise, how me as a single mom, being there with 2 children, would I be able to hold a 40-hour job and take care of a handicapped child who comes home at 2:30? I was given amazingly flexi timings. You have the medical systems there. There was a million glitches. There would be some stupid computer error and Hanif would be chucked out of medical. How can he be, if he chucked out of medical, he is eligible for medical. Why would he be? But somehow, somewhere, somebody would come in and sort the problem out to me. Some case manager, I was a member of the Harbour Regional Center there. I had the most amazing case managers for Hanif. People from the mosque who I had been affiliated to came in, did stuff for me right when I needed it the most. And I think that God has kept his word till the end. Even the point that today now Hanif lives in a group home. It was the hardest thing in my life to let my child go. I've always believed I was the best and only person who could take care of him. And nobody else can, beat me on that. But so you have these pamphlets that come to you which say, oh, alternate living arrangements for your children, whatever. There's a seminar. There would be something or the other which subconsciously I would say, oh, I have that place to go to. I'm sorry, I can't attend the seminar. One day, it was a holiday. The seminar was there. I landed up at the seminar with full intention not putting my child in a group home, ever. Because I think in India, we have the cultural, the way we are built up. We take care of our children and our old parents and stuff. So we don't tend to kind of look for alternate help like that. And I went there, I listened to this Mr. Hai who was speaking. He's a Vietnamese person talking. And at the end of it, there was a break. There was coffee and cookies and whatever. We were having it there. He was standing right next to me and I said, oh, that was a very nice talk you gave. And he started asking me about my child. And he said, Mrs. Fazelbhoy, I have a space for a child like you, because they kind of group children according to their mental capacities and their abilities and stuff. And what you tell me is, I have a spot for your child just exactly like what you describe him to be, with all the behavioral problems. He still had a lot of behavioral problems. And in fact, he was getting worse when he was in the 2 years that I didn't put him. And I was in the US, he was getting worse. Because this guy needed a structural living. And I wasn't giving him that at all. I was running from work to grocery store, to the post office, to the whatever, to the banks, and dragging him everywhere with me. He was totally messed up at that time. And I said, Mr. Hai, I'm not very keen on putting Hanif in a group home. I just came here just like that. So he says, see, why don't you come and see my home? Why don't you? He has a waiting list a mile long to get into his home. He didn't need to talk to me. But then I feel this is it. This was God's way of sending somebody down who would be more accessible to me. I know God can't talk to me. So I feel he sends these little things happening. And within a matter of 2 months, he was in the group home. And I have never regretted that decision ever. So I feel that God not only does he help me in problems, but he guides me where Hanif is concerned. In other aspects of my life, I think he lets me do what I want. God has given us a free will, and so we take our own decisions. Whether we live in the US, whether I come back, whether I take this job, whether I don't. I don't think He gets so much involved in other aspects of my life. But where Hanif is concerned, I am convinced that every single step of the way, He is there besides me, right there. And I feel it's all happened with that. It all started with that talk, in which I just fired him. I said, I'm going to really, you're going to be, not in my life anymore if you don't work with me on this. I think that's kind of sums up why I have faith. This kind of sums up what my relationship with God is. Today, I do not depend on formal prayer. I don't feel guilty if I don't do formal prayer. I do it when I want. I don't do it when I don't. But it's just like, okay, it's like other stuff you do. How sometimes you may go out for a meal outside in a restaurant and sometimes you don't. For me, formal prayer is something like that. I do it when I feel like, when there's an occasion, it's not. But my one-on-one with God is the one that I depend on always. My husband and my son always say, why don't you tell God about this? I mean, they joke about it because they feel that I'm like, and I keep telling them, you think I'm God's secretary? I said, well, I mean, you are kind of close to, it's a joke that way, but yes, I have this one-on-one with Him, and that's what my faith, or that's what I have evolved or developed into, I think to be a good human being, uh, and to do to the best of my ability what I can. Everybody's been given a different level of intelligence or a different level of ability or whatever. I think that's what He wants me to do, is that whatever He has given me in form of genes or whatever, to use that to the positive, in a positive manner, and to the best of my ability. That that's what I think. I think so many things. I think there's not a single turn or twist in my life when I'm not grateful for. Of course, I'm very grateful to the kind of man I've married. In India, there is a great stigma in having a handicapped child. He has never for a moment, he's educated enough to, he's never ever made me feel that way. He's never made me feel that I should sacrifice my life for the sake of my child. Yet never, he's not wanted to kind of run away from any responsibility towards him. But it's like, yes, you have a child like Hanif, but you're also my wife, you're also a mother to another child, and you should still continue doing everything in that. So I'm really grateful, because I think there was a time when I was, wanting to do the martyrdom thing, like totally become a martyr. I have a child like Hanif and I should give up my life and never dress up and never do anything, and my whole world should revolve only around that child. I had gone into that phase, and I think He pulled me out of that. So I'm very, very blessed that I have him, and I'm also blessed with the kind of experiences I've had going to the US, finding out that I have a brain and a mind. I've always revolved my life around Hanif and my children. I realized I was capable of earning, working. I had a brain. People respected me. I grew as a person, so I'm happy about that opportunity that came to me. And I think I'm also very happy that I'm a content person. I like it. I like the way I am. I like me. You know.
Tell me about the time in the U.S. What was that about for you?
For me, I think it was. See, here I came in, was married in a family pretty wealthy, had cars and drivers and all the basic, stuff in life, servants and things like that. When I went to the US, initially, I mean, of course, I went there only with my two children. My husband did not want to come to the US. He did not want to live there. So I knew that I would have to live there on my own. But the reason why I did it was for Hanif. I felt that here there was nothing left for him. I had explored everything, and he would never have a better life here. Yes, I would have maids and servants to take care of him, but his potential would not be reached. So I took this step of going to the US solely for the sake of the children, especially for Hanif. When I initially, people thought I was crazy because I was going with a teenage son. My elder son was a teenager, 18 years old, and a handicapped son, and all by myself, and expecting to earn, support myself, and bring up these children. And they said, "You must be nuts to be doing this." My attitude was, I want to try it. If I fail, I can just buy myself an airline ticket and come back. I have nothing to lose. When I went there, I realized that not only did I achieve so much for Hanif and for my elder son, that I achieved even more for myself, because I realized that, wow, I'm not just a mom and a good wife, but I'm able to work, I'm able to earn, I'm able to support a family. I'm respected by my bosses and my colleagues. I worked in a non-profit organization that worked for people of South Asian origin who, in the areas of domestic violence, civil rights, health issues, stuff like that. So I felt great. I did not work. I didn't work in those areas, but I worked in the administrative side and in the accounting side. But us being such a grassroots organization, we all got training in the 40-hour trainings, and we went for every training like that. It opened up my mind. It just, like, there was like a whole opening that happened. I saw the world. I felt I could do something, and I gained a lot of self-confidence. Not only that, but my son, he went to schools where people wouldn't phone me up and say, Hanif is doing this and Hanif is doing that. This what I had been faced with all throughout. Hanif still had so many behavioral problems, but every one of them was tackled in the way I thought it should be tackled. Today, Hanif has been living in that group home for the 6th year now. He has developed, he's very severely handicapped. So he cannot do anything really, but he's at least learned his activities of daily living. He has learned to wash his hands and brush his teeth and eat his food and wear his clothes and go to the bathroom. And he's been able to learn these things which he has not been able to learn here. So I feel I have brought him up to his potential, and that was my goal. That I want to develop him to the best of my ability, and that's what I did. And in the bargain, my side thing was the fact that I learned and developed myself. So I feel very proud of myself. I feel that was an opportunity where I learned a lot about what kind of a person I am. Here it was different. Our friends were also my husband's friends. There I made my own friends. I grew into a person as an independent person, which I had never ever experienced here. So I just feel that was a very important. It's always going to be a very important part of what I am today. I think that I feel very sad at the way the world has become right now. I feel, one sentence comes to mind, and that's like, live and let live. I just feel that our religious beliefs, our faiths are all dependent on the environments we have grown up in. So in some other part of the world has grown up in a different environment, and hence they have different sort of thoughts on religion or faith. And there's no harm in them continuing the faith and religion, what they feel, as long as they are not hurting or harming somebody else. So it's just like, you live with whatever you've grown up and whatever you've been taught. I am what I am because of what my environment is, right? In the same way, it's somebody else. But as long as I'm not hurting anybody else in my way of thinking, I'm fine. I could be believing in different things, but that's fine. I only wish that people uh, do that. Just live and let live, and uh, in your own homes, do whatever rituals you want or whatever, but don't impose that on anybody else. Let them be, and I think the world would be a lot peaceful. I mean, there are so many things to be done in the world. You can always be doing all those wonderful, amazing, good things. Children who have come from, underprivileged homes, or, women with other problems, domestic violence, so many little good acts you can do in the world. Why go around, forcing your religion or your opinions on somebody else? Just live and let live. I wish the world would do that. I think I would like them to think that I'm very happy as a person. I'm very content with whatever I've been dealt out in life. I've come to terms with everything. Um, like everybody else, I may have my sad and happy moments, but my faith in God has always kept me smiling.
Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think, I don't think, I think I seem to have covered almost everything I really wanted to say. Yeah, I think, like, my husband, he often tells me, oh, you say God is kind and beneficent and, wonderful and stuff like that. Then why are there tsunamis on earth? And why are children born blind? And why are this? So obviously he is not what you say he is. And my I don't have an answer to that, of course, but my partial answer to that would be is that I think God is like a parent. As our children are small, we know a lot more than they do. So obviously, we can actually do everything right for them so that they don't ever make mistakes. We can guide them at every step, but we don't do that. We give them what is called a free will, and God has given us a free will. But when He's given us a free will, things can go wrong too, right? So that's why things happen, because man, with his free will, does certain things. He maybe changes certain environmental situations or certain equalities in the environment, which causes earthquakes or volcanoes or whatever, tsunamis and things like that. So that is a byproduct of what we do with our free will. And the fact that God wants to give us a free will, He wants us to learn from our mistakes. So we do mistakes, and just like our children, we would tell them, oh my God, don't go near the fire, you'll get burnt. But we kind of warn them, but we don't go and, we kind of let them make their own mistakes at times. And I think that's what God does to us. He's more like a parent, and you can't you cannot say that he is not kind or not, because he's given us a free will. That's my take on it. I don't know whether it's something which is convincing or not, but that's the way I look at it, and that's my take on it. But I still feel very close to God, irrespective of what anybody else says, simply because that's my faith, and that's what my personal experiences have taught me in it. It's just it's always a difficult question to answer. You cannot always have the answers. It's just one of those things, you believe or you don't. You know.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope I kind of covered.
It's perfect.
Or
It's actually very interesting. In Judaism, one of the things a teacher will test students on is, who do we consider a greater man, Noah or Abraham?
Really?
Yeah. And And the answer is Ibrahim,
Uh-huh.
because when God was going to destroy the world, Noah didn't argue. But Abraham argues with God to save the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. Remember, in the
Yeah.
Bible, he actually, in the Jewish Bible, he says in Hebrew, "Hashofet kol haaretz lo ya'aseh mishpat," which means he's arguing with God. And he
Yes.
says, "Will not the Lord of all the earth deal justly?"
Ah.
And so the answer is Abraham, because he
Yeah.
argued for the people.
Really,
If
I
there's not
didn't.
50, yeah, he goes through this whole thing. God, if there's 50 righteous souls in Sodom and Gomorrah, will you save the city? What if there's 20? What if there's 10?
Ah.
You know, so this whole idea of arguing with God.
I think I kind of took a lot of stuff. Like I said, no, I was going through that whole thing. I think it's just when you develop into something where you say, I don't know why I fought with God. I don't know why I argued with him. I think I came to the end and I just said, that's it. This and no more. You know, I mean, I've had it. You know, I don't know. It's like I just did that, and I'm glad I did that because I felt now I have developed such a strong bond with him because of that one big fight I had with him.
Thank you very much.
Okay.